It was a quiet afternoon in Westfield. Officers Carter and Lopez were patrolling their usual route, cruising through the familiar streets of their mid-sized city. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, until they noticed a sleek silver sedan ahead, driving just below the speed limit. "Looks like someone's not from around here," Carter muttered, eyeing the vehicle. Lopez nodded. "Yeah, let's check it out, just being thorough." Flipping on their patrol lights, they signaled for the car to pull over. The sedan smoothly rolled onto the shoulder. As they stepped out, their boots crunched against the gravel, and they approached the car cautiously. Inside sat a woman, composed, confident, and dressed sharply in a dark green blazer. She exuded a quiet authority. "Good afternoon, officers," she greeted, her voice calm and steady. "Is there a problem?" "Just a routine check," Lopez replied, observing how self-assured she seemed. "License and registration, please." "Of course." She reached into her bag without hesitation and handed over her documents. Carter examined them carefully. Then, glancing back at her, he asked, "What brings you to Westfield?" The woman smiled faintly. "I'm heading to the station. I have some important business there." Lopez raised an eyebrow. "Oh yeah? You visiting someone, a friend? Family?" There was a brief pause. Then, with a knowing smile, the woman reached back into her bag. But this time, instead of more documents, she pulled out a badge and held it up for them to see. "I'm your new chief of police." Both officers froze, exchanging quick glances. Their expressions shifted from curiosity to disbelief. "You're—" Carter began, but the words stuck in his throat. "Yes," she said gently but firmly. "And I'm glad we're meeting like this because first impressions matter." Lopez swallowed hard. "Chief, we had no idea." She nodded, her expression kind. "No need to apologize. You were doing your job, and I respect that. But let this be a reminder of something important." The officers looked at her, no longer just surprised, but genuinely intrigued. "Respect isn't about rank or authority," she continued. "It's about treating everyone with fairness, no matter who they are or where they come from. That's the standard I'll be holding this department to, including myself." She handed back her license and gave them a polite nod. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a department to lead." As she drove away, Carter and Lopez stood by the roadside, still processing what had just happened. Later that afternoon, Chief Reynolds walked into a packed briefing room at the station. Officers of every rank had gathered for her first official address. As she stepped up to the podium, she scanned the room, her gaze steady. "Today, I had the pleasure of meeting two of you in an unexpected way," she began with a small smirk. A ripple of laughter spread through the crowd. Word of the traffic stop had already made its rounds. "Let me say this, I appreciated their professionalism. They didn't know who I was, but they treated me with dignity. That's exactly the kind of behavior I expect from this department, on and off duty." Her tone shifted, becoming more serious. "We have work to do. There are challenges ahead, and trust to rebuild. But if we treat people with the respect and fairness they deserve, we can set the standard for what policing should look like." The room erupted in applause. Officers nodded in agreement, some exchanging thoughtful glances. She let the applause settle before continuing. "Before I go any further, let me share something personal," she said. "When I was younger, I had my fair share of interactions with the police. Some officers were fair, others not so much. Those experiences shaped how I see this job and the responsibility that comes with it." A few officers shifted in their seats, listening intently. Today's encounter on the road wasn't about embarrassment or power. It was about a principle I live by. No one is above the law, not even me. But at the same time, no one is beneath dignity, regardless of their background, appearance, or title. In this job, we meet people on their best days and their worst. How we treat them defines not just our character, but the trust our community places in us. And trust, it isn't given, it's earned. She let those words linger before taking a step back. "My vision for this department is simple. Respect is non-negotiable, both within these walls and out in the streets. We lead by example, hold ourselves accountable before anyone else has to, and we don't just enforce the law, we embody justice." More officers nodded now. Some even looked inspired. "Change isn't easy," Chief Reynolds admitted, "but it starts with moments like this, moments where we challenge ourselves to do better, to be better." She stepped back from the podium. I'll be meeting with each of you individually in the coming weeks, but for now, let's get to work. Our community is counting on us. This time, the applause was even louder. Officers stood, showing their support for their new leader. News of Chief Reynolds' unexpected traffic stop spread quickly, both within the department and throughout the community. It became a symbol of her leadership style, transparent, humble, and focused on accountability. Under her guidance, the department launched initiatives to rebuild trust, including community meetings, implicit bias training, and outreach programs in underserved neighborhoods. As for Officers Carter and Lopez, they became some of her strongest supporters, often sharing the story of their first encounter with her as a lesson in humility and professionalism. Months later, at a town hall event, Chief Reynolds stood on stage beside them. Together, they spoke about the department's progress and the work still ahead. Her journey as the first woman to lead the Westfield Police Department wasn't without its challenges. And with that, a new chapter had begun. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. See you next time.